Magic, in its myriad forms, is a staple of fantasy, dancing between instant enchantments and meticulously crafted spells. Do you wield power in the blink of an eye, or is there a ritualistic beauty in preparing the arcane? It's the spellcaster's equivalent of the age-old debate, the thrill of the moment versus the joy of anticipation. Which holds more promise and more peril? Welcome to another episode of Just in Time Worlds with your host, Marie Mullaney. If you enjoy peeling back the layers of fantasy and delving into the intricacies of world building, consider supporting my channel by checking out my campaign to launch the third book of my fantasy series on Indiegogo. It's all on the links below, and it's just as safe as Kickstarter, except that since I live in Finland, I don't have access to Kickstarter. So, go figure. Anyway, I've received some great reviews on my fantasy books, and you can pick up all 3 books as the ebook perk for €11, which is about $12. Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about magic. An immediate magic system is one where magic can be invoked instantly, often with little to no preparation. The caster decides on a spell and can immediately release its power. Examples include Maidu Song magic, David Eddings' Will and the Word, Raymond E. Feist's spell, Star Wars Force users, etc., etc. This is by far the most common magic system in fantasy. Now, it is not to say that no manipulation of magic takes place in this kind of system. Maybe you need spells or specific names of creatures like Ursula Le Guin's onomancy, or even specific accoutrements like the bells of the Abhorsen in Garth Nix's old magic series, the Garth Nix's old Kingdom series. But there isn't a delay between crafting the magic and its effect. Basically, you release the magic, shape it in some manner, and boom, the magic takes effect. In non-immediate magic systems, magic requires preparation, which may be in the form of rituals, gathering ingredients, preparing spells in advance, or other time-consuming activities. Examples of this include my magic system in the urban fantasy book I'm working on. In this world, human mages have to prepare their spells beforehand by drawing or writing symbols. Now, in my world, which symbols you use depends on the tradition you were trained in. So my main character, for example, carves Ogham Fedas on wooden staves because she was raised in the Druidic tradition. And another character uses Futark runes, and another one uses alchemical symbols. They create the spells beforehand and then use fairy dust to empower the spell once the magic is required. A different implementation of a non-immediate magic system is Peter V. Brett's The Demon Cycle series, where mystical symbols known as wards can keep demons at bay. In my main epic fantasy series, I use something similar for Sang Sorcery magic, where spells are created by runes and powered by blood. Basically, this kind of magic requires preparation of the magic, which then lies in wait for a trigger of some kind to release its power. Now, world building being what it is, there is a third option, which is anywhere on the spectrum from the extreme of preparation to the extreme of no preparation. It's not exclusive camps, so you can hybridize. For example, wizards in D&D have to study their spells before they cast them, choosing which spells they can cast. At least that was the case for most of the editions I played. I can't speak for the latest one, I haven't played it. When they cast their spells, there is an immediate effect, of course. So the release of the magic and the effect is closely connected. But preparation is very much still required. Or if you look at Brandon Sanderson's Allomancy, you have to plan which metals you have on hand, or you have to burn those metals beforehand to give you the capacity to use them. Once you wish to release the magic, it's right there and you just release it and take effect. Another good example of complete hybridization is Jim Butcher's Dresden Files, where Harry can cast spells on the fly, but can also engage in rituals for larger magics, or create consumable magics like potions, which is the same delayed kind of magic. I did do a whole video on consumable magic items, which you can check out in the information card if you're interested in how potions and scrolls and so on work. So that's what these systems are, and if you enjoyed laying the groundwork for the rest of this video, hit the thumbs up button, and let's talk about what these systems offer the world builder. Let's start with the immediate magic systems. The natural advantage of immediate magic systems is that it allows for faster reactions in dangerous situations, which embeds it in your mage as combat or emergency responses. This, of course, allows for a far easier storytelling and can create dynamic and intense combat scenes. On the reverse side of this coin, this kind of magic can easily spiral into over-reliance, where characters are dependent on their magic, neglecting other solutions, and it starts to feel as if the solution to every problem is just toss more magic at it. Also, if you don't have strong limits in place, this could create massive power disparities between individuals, resulting in either your villains or your heroes feeling completely OP. Of course, this kind of magic has quite the impact on your mages as well. As a magical tradition, I would expect most of these mages to develop a culture of immediacy, with a great deal of value placed on quick thinking and adaptability. It could also lead to a sense of confidence or even arrogance, as enough magic will let you just bull through your problems. This kind of magic, when taken to the extreme of immediacy on the spectrum, could also lead to a society that places less value on long-term protective measures, infrastructure, and technology, since their magic lends itself more to the immediate effects. In terms of storytelling, the more immediate magic systems play well with themes of adaptability, the fleeting nature of power, the dangers of impulsiveness, and the importance of presence of mind. I'd recommend this kind of magic system if you want to play around with the themes of acting now, be it in a positive or negative light. Okay, so what about the other extreme? Non-immediate magic systems allow for strategic depth in that it requires foresight and planning. This can lead to intricate strategies in either combat or in other deployment and preparation for magic. It also gives your magic a deeper, richer feel, in my opinion. Perhaps not all the way over to completely non-immediate, but some non-immediacy. And this is because it allows for varied cultural practices, rituals, and traditions based on the preparation of magic. So, for example, in David Eddings' Belgariad, probably the most immediate magic system I can think of, magic is excessively simple. A sorcerer uses his will, speaks the word, and magic happens. It's fine, but if you think about the richer traditions of, say, Garth Nix's charter magic, with the 5 types of magic in the Old Kingdom, and the charter symbols you need to use, and the bells of the Abhorsen, and so on, you can see how moving away from the absolute immediacy opens up richer elements to your magic. That being said, this kind of magic, this less immediate magic, can introduce pacing problems in your story. The need to prepare can slow down the narrative, especially in urgent situations. So if you use this kind of system, you need to plan around those moments of crisis to ensure that you're not killing the pace by stopping to scribe a spell. I would imagine that the kind of magic that results from this extreme end of non-immediate magic would be patient people and invested in planning for all the branches of the future they can see. They would want to spend time thinking about what might happen and how they could prepare for it. I also think that a society where this kind of magic is the norm would invest in technology. What I did in my urban fantasy world, for example, is I gave my druid a gun. So yes, she has magic and she uses it. But if she's caught in a situation where she has no prepared Ogham staves, she falls back on technology and her more mundane skills, so she keeps herself sharp by shooting at the range and training in various combat situations in case that happens. You could do the same with fantasy and fantasy weapons, resulting in a more physically capable mage than the more immediate magic systems. Thematically, this resonates well with patience, preservation, and foresight. It might also underscore the value of knowledge and the passing down of traditions. If you introduce a more immediate magic system in a world with entrenched non-immediate systems, it also can emphasize the tension between the old and the new, allowing you to play with the themes of change, conservation, and the push and pull between those forces. And then finally, if you do go the hybridization route, which is generally what I probably recommend, this system offers you some real versatility in storytelling, with its balance between fast-paced action and slower rituals. However, it also introduces a lot of complexity. Balancing both systems can be challenging and may require intricate rules to protect one from overshadowing the other. And you have to show all these rules to the reader to make sure they understand when one type of magic can be used and why another cannot be used. It can also lead to one kind of magic feeling completely overpowered versus the other. Now, this might be something that you're trying to do, but it might also be an unintended consequence leading to the muddying of the themes that you are writing about. And speaking of themes, hybrid systems vibe well with balance, the importance of versatility, and the challenges of navigating a world with varied rules and traditions. In a world where magic is embedded into its very fabric, these systems would deeply influence not only individual behaviors, but also societal structures, values, traditions, and even conflicts. The choice of magic system can thus serve as the backbone, not just for world building, but for the thematic elements of your story. And if you're finding value in this exploration of immediate magic versus non-immediate magic, consider giving this video a super thanks. And let's talk about how to set about building a magic system of each type. I have done a number of videos on building all sorts of magic systems, and you can check out my magic systems playlist in the information card. But here, I specifically want to compare these three systems in broad terms and what they offer you. So first, the basics of building magic systems in these three kind of broad categories. For immediate magic systems, you need to decide on the mechanism for invoking. Is it through thought, words, gestures, or a combination? Can everyone use this magic? If it's limited, why is it limited? Is it a genetic trait or a gift from a deity or something learned? For non-immediate magic, you need to decide on the preparation requirement, whether that's drawing symbols, creating potions, performing lengthy rituals, or something else. What is the artifact or the outcome of the preparation of magic? Is it a charged wand, an enchanted scroll, a potion? Whatever it is, it should contain the magic and be ready for release. Decide how the magic is released from this artifact. Is it a word of command, a gesture, breaking the artifact, or consuming a potion? Also, consider if anything magical is required in the release and if the magic can be released by someone other than the mage. Is the mage essentially an artificer, and can anyone use the output of their magic? If the answer to that is yes, it would lead, I think, to a society where magic essentially takes the place of technology, with mages filling the roles of engineers and scientists as they bind magic into items for others to use. And in that magical playlist, I do have a video on the magical industrial revolutions for some of my thoughts on that topic. Anyway, onward to hybrid system basics. This would incorporate elements of both immediate and non-immediate magics. Perhaps simpler spells can be cast immediately with just a thought, while more powerful or specialized magic requires preparation and rituals. Or perhaps certain creatures can cast immediate magic, while others use non-immediate magic. So this is what I ultimately ended up doing in the urban fantasy with my fairies. Fairy mages have elemental magic which they can cast immediately. Now, you also need to decide on the interaction or mutual exclusivity, if any, between the two types in a hybrid system. If you do actually have two separate types. Like you could use immediate magic to fuel non-immediate magic, or you could make immediate magic more powerful by using an artifact produced by non-immediate magic. And you need to decide on the connections between those two magic systems. Okay, so much for the basic. But no magic system is complete without discussing costs and limitations. For immediate magic, it is critical that you include some hard costs and limitations so that it doesn't become completely overpowered. Possible limitations could be physical or mental exhaustion, a finite source of power that needs recharging, a physical item that is consumed like the metals in Alamancy by Brandon Sanderson, or perhaps the risk of backlash if used too frequently, like the Psychers in Warhammer 40k. Or maybe the magic misfires if it's not focused or hurts innocent bystanders, like Dresden and fire in the Dresden Files. For non-immediate magic, the more preparation required, the more built-in limitation you have, obviously. But you can increase the limitations even more if you need it to be rarer. Potential costs include the rarity or expense of materials, the time it takes to prepare, the potential for the preparation to fail, or even that the prepared magic has a shelf life and becomes inert after a while. I can imagine a shop with potions offered at 30% discount because they're expiring the next day. Additionally, the mage might be vulnerable during the preparation phase. It could be that safe spaces are required for magical preparation. For hybrid systems, balance can be achieved by making immediate spells generally weaker or more generic, while prepared spells are more potent or specialized. The costs of using both simultaneously might be a dangerous drain on the caster's life force or sanity. It's very important in hybridization that you consider one magic versus the other if you have these two systems. If you're going to put both into play with main characters, you might end up with one main character being completely overshadowed by another and giving your readers the feel that you care about one more than the other. Or the same with villains. Now, maybe you want your main characters to be struggling against a villain who has this more powerful magic, and that could be something that they need to overcome, which also makes for a very compelling narrative. Just make sure that's a choice you make and not an unfortunate consequence of the magic system you build. The final thought on magic system building is how magic is learned. Immediate magic might be instinctual for some, but mastering advanced techniques or spells could require formal training. Maybe the initial potential is always an instinctive thing, but training is required to learn control. For non-immediate magic, the learning curve could be steeper, requiring the novice to understand not just how, but the why behind each ritual, symbol, and ingredient. Mistakes in preparation could lead to spell failure or even catastrophic backfire. And of course, in hybrid systems, you could use a combination of both, and a true mastery of magic would mean seamlessly integrating immediate magic with non-immediate magic. As you can see from our conversation, there are advantages and disadvantages anywhere on the spectrum from immediate magic to non-immediate magic. Which one you choose boils down to the kind of world, characters, and stories you want to craft. Each system can provide a rich tapestry of experiences, challenges, and adventures for your characters and your readers alike. So think about the themes you want to play around with and build the magic system that best works for that. And those are my thoughts on immediate versus non-immediate magic in fantasy worlds. Don't forget about that Indiegogo campaign, link down below. It is only active till the end of October 2023. If you enjoyed this video, check out my video on genetic versus non-genetic magic systems. Oh, you're wondering why I'm still here? See, I'm giving you the chance to click on that video. The algorithm loves me more if you click on these recommended videos, so please, clicky.